appears that President Donald Trump has managed to bully some of his biggest media supporters into shutting up about the Epstein file flop that is threatening to blow up the MAGA coalition. Now, first off, before I get into the big media names, I do want to talk about Dan Bongino, who was a former talking head like myself, okay, before he was elevated to becoming the deputy director of the FBI, all right? So while he was a talking head, Bongino talked a lot about the Epstein Files. It was a pretty hot topic on the right wing, okay? And he said, wow, we're going to find him. We're going to release him. And that's, you know what? Because we got to we got to go after the pedophiles. You know what I'm saying? We got to get after them. But now, wait, Pam Bondi's like, there is no Epstein list. There's no client list. There's no Epstein files. We already released everything. It's fine. That's fine. And after Bondi had said that, for a minute, Dan Bongino considered resigning his position. The guy didn't even show up to work on Friday after a fight that he had with Pam Bondi. Now, that said, I guess he cooled off for a couple of days for the weekend, and then Monday, whoop, he was back. With Trump actually saying that on Sunday, Bongino was in quote-unquote good shape. Oh, okay. And so, not everybody there, Bondi, Bongino, Patel, they're all in great shape, says Trump. Now, CNN reporter Caitlin Collins had claimed that White House officials were texting her on Monday, asking if Bongino still actually was the deputy director of the FBI. Now, that's a weird situation when you have people in the White House that are texting a reporter asking, hey, is Bongino, did he quit? Well, that's a weird situation indeed. Officials, she said, were texting each other and texting me this morning asking, whether or not they had figured out if he had shown up to work today, because it was still an open question in Washington this morning if he was going to be back at the FBI today. Well, yeah, apparently he did show up. Now, Collins noted, though, that Bongino's relationship with other members of this administration has, quote, deteriorated so much that there are officials inside the White House who have not spoken to Bongino in days. Bongino. Yeah. As well as the fact that the president was very angry with him following his reported outburst on last Wednesday. But again, he's back, and that's because he bent the knee. He has been cowed. Because, of course, right? That's the only way that you can stay in the Trump good graces is if you bend the knee. Beta male. Now, another person who has been completely cowed into submission is Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, who had announced on Monday that he's done talking about Epstein.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine.
Balls in their hands, all right. Oh, that's terrible. Why would you say something like that?
Testicles.
I know what he meant, but man, in this context, ooh, yeah, no, so yeah, balls in their hands, all right, or maybe in a vice, I don't know. To be fair, though, I just saw a report saying that Charlie Kirk had devoted his show to doing interviews about Epstein. Okay, all right, so maybe not so cowed after all. Or could be a lot of pushback here. Okay. Now, that said, Kirk's Monday announcement came just a day after Trump had called him on the phone to give him his marching orders and to tell him to shut up about Epstein. And think about that, though. This is the president of the United States calling up a member of the media, of which Charlie Kirk is sadly a part of, and telling him, hey, You need to shut up about a story that I don't like. Why don't you like that story, Trump? Well, that's really weird. You think you'd want to talk about that because it's, the prime conspiracy fodder, right? Oh, right. Yeah, there's a reason. No, look, and it is funny and pretty ironic that the same people that claimed that Joe Biden had threatened social media companies to censor any mentions of the Hunter Biden laptop, the laptop from hell. Wait, except that Joe Biden did not do that. Okay. Now, the Biden FBI at the time had put out a warning to watch out for Russian disinformation. And as a result, both Facebook and Twitter decided to limit the sharing of the laptop story because it fit several of the hallmarks of what they were looking for when it came to Russian disinformation. Now, some of the stuff in the laptop ended up being verified, and not the most salacious stuff, right? Obviously, and not the stuff that a lot of right-wingers were looking for, but there were still facts in that story that were verified. It was his laptop, et cetera, et cetera. But again, this, the directive didn't come from Joe Biden. Whereas here, we're talking about Donald Trump calling up Charlie Kirk and telling him, keep your mouth shut. And at least for the day, Charlie dutifully complied like a little bitch. And now, what I think changed is Trump put out the narrative now that this was written by Obama, Biden, Comey, all of his Hillary, all of his political enemies. And so that's the new talking point going forward, is that, well, the Epstein Files are real, but they were written by my political enemies to come after me. So therefore, well, I don't really want you talking about them unless now you're going to blame it all on Obama, Biden, etc. To which that case, go ahead. See, I figured all of this out. Okay, I got it figured out now. All right. But again, this before that directive came out on Monday, you have another fold to Trump, and that was on display at Fox News, where the Fox and Friends host decided to completely ignore the story about the Epstein Files, just completely ignore everything, right? In fact, the topics on Monday included Joe Biden's recent interview with the New York Times, in which the former president, had defended his use of the auto pen. Elsewhere, throughout Monday morning's broadcast, Fox and Friends hosts also discussed how Gen Z men are using boy math to invest in Pokemon instead of traditional stocks. And the New York Times column about the need to stop cutting off MAGA family members. Oh, yes. Super important. Right? So it looks like the biggest Trump allies had kind of gotten the memo here. In fact, a top Trump advisor had told Axios previously, quote, the president said to put this behind us, so we're putting this behind us. If he changes, then the policy changes, period. Oh, okay, so if Donald Trump changes his mind on something, doesn't matter what it is, whether it be a talking point or whatever, then this administration, then White House policy is going to follow that change. I mean, yeah, that sounds pretty dictatorial to me. Just saying. But there it is, though. Trump didn't want to talk about Epstein, and so his allies, they weren't going to talk about it either. But it's not just talk, by the way. House Republicans have blocked a Democratic lawmaker's push to force the Trump administration to release the full Epstein Files. California Representative Ro Khanna had introduced an amendment to the Genius Act on Monday, calling on Attorney General Pam Bondi to compile and release all of the Epstein records within 30 days. Now, that did not pass. But the House Rules Committee voted 7-5 to block the proposal from reaching the lower chamber. Couldn't even get a vote on it out in the House. South Carolina Representative Ralph Norman, who previously remarked that the Epstein Files are bound to come out, was the only one to break with his party. Out of the 9 Republicans on the committee, he broke with the party to vote in favor of this amendment. So Ralph Norman actually kind of wanted the truth there. Hey, yes, let's release the Epstein Files, where all the other Republicans are like, no, don't do it. Can't release them. No. Again, I think the rest of the Republicans here had already gotten their marching orders about this whole thing. So there you go. Not that this is going to dissuade anyone who actually wants to see the truth, especially since the 11-hour video of Epstein's final hours, it has been discovered that that video had been edited. There's a minute of footage that's missing. What happened during that minute? I don't know. And why was it edited and stitched together? That's really strange in Premiere Pro. I mean, forensic experts, video forensics experts looked at it and was like, this video had been tampered with. I thought it was supposed to be the raw video. And why did Pam Bondi refuse to allow Ghislaine Maxwell to testify? I mean, about what she knows. I mean, if anybody knows about a client list, you'd think it'd be her, right? But Bondi's like, no, you will not testify, Ghislaine Maxwell. I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up being unalived at some point. I'm shocked that she's still alive. So it's very strange that they're not taking her up on any of this. I mean, at first I wasn't entirely sure how involved Trump was and whether or not he was in the files. Okay. But boy, his actions as of late have really got me thinking that, yeah, not only is he in the files, but maybe he did some pretty naughty things that he didn't want getting out. Criminal things, perhaps. I mean, it's not like he hasn't done criminal things before. Mr. 34 counts. But if he gets his way and MAGA drops this, then, well, Trump would get away with, whatever alleged crimes he may have committed when he was partying with Epstein. I don't know if that's the case, but that's why it's really, really important for the truth to come out. Release the files. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.